1. Mars moon Phobos will hit Mars one day. Before moving on to this collision, I would like to mention a few things about these two moons of Mars. Mars is named after the Roman god of war. Mars has two moons named Deimos and Phobos. These two moons take their names from the names of the two horses that pulled the chariot of Mars, the Roman god of war. Possibly these two moons may be asteroids captured by Mars' gravity. Also, the names of Mars moons. Phobos comes from the Greek word for fear and Deimos comes from the Greek word for terror. Both are sons of Ares and Mars in Roman mythology. Phobos orbits Mars at a very low altitude and slowly spirals inward. It may eventually collide with Mars and break apart. Deimos, on the other hand, orbits Mars at a greater distance and has a slow, stable orbit. Saturn and Uranus are two of the most unique planets in our solar system due to their characteristic orbital rings. But it looks like Mars may get its own ring in a few tens of millions of years, not to be outdone. According to astronomers, Mars' largest and most mysterious moon, Phobos, will eventually be torn apart by gravitational forces. This will lead to the formation of a debris field that will eventually settle into a geostationary orbit and form a rocky ring around Mars. Phobos' orbit puts it just 3,700 miles above the surface of Mars, closer to its planet than any other moon in the solar system. Mars' gravity is moving slowly but surely, pulling Phobos by about 2 meters every 100 years. According to NASA, the moon will disintegrate within 30 to 50 million years. But the ring won't last forever. It is estimated that it will take about 100 million years before it breaks apart and falls to the surface of Mars. Today you can see the first signs of this moon's impending doom in a series of large cracks on its surface. 2. A day on Mars lasts 24 hours and 37 minutes. It is very similar to Earth in this respect, but a year on Mars lasts 687 days. This is 1.9 Earth years. This is because Mars is further away from the Sun and therefore takes longer to orbit. Additionally, light from the Sun reaches Mars in approximately 13 minutes. This is 8 minutes for the world. 3. The tilt of Mars' axis is 25 degrees. This means that the planet experiences seasons like we experience on Earth, with different parts of the planet being closer to the Sun at different times of its orbit. 4. Mars has a thin atmosphere consisting of 95.9% carbon dioxide and 2.7% nitrogen. The atmosphere is so thin that it is not thick enough to retain the Sun's heat, so it is very cold. It varies from 100 degrees C in winter to 20 degrees Celsius in summer. But it turns out Mars used to have a thicker atmosphere. In the past, the red planet needed more atmosphere for water to flow. So something must have changed in the last few billion years. So what? The energy of the Sun hitting the atmosphere is thought to strip lighter forms of hydrogen from the upper portion, scattering the molecules into space over long periods of time. This will reduce the amount of atmosphere near Mars. This question is being explored in more detail with NASA's Mars Atmosphere and Volatile Evolution MAVEN spacecraft. This means that if there is no atmosphere, there is no liquid water because it would evaporate and fly away. However, we can find frozen water at the poles. The frozen water there is thought to be carbon dioxide-based dry ice. You may think, if it is so difficult to live on Mars, why are NASA and other private companies interested in Mars? I'm thinking of making a separate video on this subject, so don't forget to subscribe. 5. Interestingly, the northern and southern hemispheres of Mars are very different from each other. Mars is a terrestrial planet as it has a hard and rocky surface. While the northern side is covered with flat plains, the southern side is full of ridges and craters. Mars exhibits a sharp contrast between the northern and southern hemispheres, known as the Mars dichotomy. The reason for this geological dilemma is still not fully understood. 6. Mars is home to Olympus Mons, an extinct volcano that is the largest volcano and tallest mountain in our solar system. It is 16 miles high and 600 kilometers from its base, making it 3 times the height of Mount Everest. Tallest mountain. Olympus Mons is the tallest volcano and highest peak in the solar system, reaching an altitude of approximately 13.6 miles. The reason for this, that is, the reason why it has such a large mountain, is its tectonic structure. Also, the largest crater on Mars is the Borealis Basin. It is 5,300 miles long from end to end and covers 40% of the planet's surface. 7. There is no evidence of life on Mars, but it is the planet with the best conditions to support life, and scientists believe there is potential for life beneath the surface of Mars, as they have recently found water ice just below the surface. It is considered that one of the main prerequisites for life is the presence of water on the planet. While having water in liquid form would be best for life as we know it, the fact that water exists is a good sign that life may or has existed on a planet. In the case of Mars, we know for certain that there are large amounts of ice at the planet's poles. As far as we know, there is little or no chance of liquid water existing on the planet because its very thin atmosphere prevents this from physically occurring. Water outside Mars' polar regions is also likely frozen. Still, NASA probes like the Curiosity rover are looking for potential places on the planet that could be suitable for life to exist. If there is no life on Mars, the large amounts of frozen water would in any case be an excellent resource for future human colonies and expeditions to the planet. So could this frozen ice have been liquid in the past? Scientific opinion is divided, and debate on this issue has been going on for over a century. Following an initial misinterpretation of structures resembling clever water channels, many spacecraft have detected signs of ancient river channels, stream plains, and other hydrological features that may be evidence of liquid water in the past. 8. Human colonization potential. Mars has been a target for future human colonization. Space agencies and private companies are exploring the feasibility of establishing a sustainable human presence on the planet. But numerous challenges must be overcome, including radiation exposure, extreme temperatures, and the need for life support systems. Also, unlike Earth, Mars does not have a global magnetic field, which affects its ability to maintain its atmosphere. 9. Methane mystery. Another interesting fact about Mars is the presence of gaseous methane in its atmosphere. Like water, the presence of methane has been used as an indicator of the potential existence of life once or still exists on a planet. This methane gas, which was first detected in the atmosphere by the Mariner 9 probe in 1971, has recorded very different methane levels over the years and telescopic observations made since then. To date, very few spacecraft have been designed to investigate the element in detail. However, the Curiosity rover detected increases in methane in its area, and its source remains a mystery. On Earth, methane tends to be produced primarily as a byproduct of microbial activity and human agriculture. However, methane can also be produced by geological processes such as volcanism. Considering the large amounts of volcanoes on the surface of Mars, including the massive Olympus Mons, this is thought to be a more likely source for the gas. If we discover that methane is not produced biologically, this is still good news for humans because methane will be a useful resource for future Mars colonies. In fact, companies like SpaceX plan to use it in Mars' abundant water supply to help produce resources like fuel. 10. Sunsets on Mars. Sunsets on Mars are blue due to the scattering of sunlight by the thin atmosphere. 11. Dust devils. Dust devils occur on Mars, which are hurricane-like storms that can carry dust high into the atmosphere. If the barren landscape of Mars isn't reason enough not to visit it soon, another danger on the planet is its power. These massive storms are caused by Mars' elliptical orbit around the Sun. This can lead to temperature differences between the hemispheres that significantly increase atmospheric circulation. Air currents collect dust and circulate it around the planet. These severe dust storms can cover the entire planet and last up to 6 months. The last one caught on camera occurred in February 2022. It was so large that it was twice the size of the United States, effectively covering the entire southern hemisphere of Mars. The storm also caused NASA's InSight lander to put itself into safe mode to save battery power after dust blocked sunlight from reaching its solar panels. NASA's Ingenuity Mars helicopter also had to postpone its flights until conditions improve. 12. Mars is also known as the red planet because it is actually red. This signature color comes from large amounts of a chemical in rocks and soil called iron oxide, or rust as you know it. The planet's color is due to the large amount of iron-rich dust and rock covering the planet. This is derived from large amounts of iron oxide minerals on the planet's surface and minerals such as hematite bloodstone, a common iron ore on Earth. However, while the planet was still molten on Earth, most of the iron sank into the core. Mars' smaller size and weaker gravity may have allowed more iron to remain near the surface. Scientists still aren't sure how iron oxidizes, which turns iron red and requires the presence of some form of oxygen. So was there once oxygen on Mars? 13. Mars is the second smallest planet in the solar system after Mercury. With a diameter of 6,791 kilometers, it is roughly half the size of the Earth. 14. You can jump 3 times higher on Mars than on Earth. This is because the planet's gravity is much weaker. 15. Humans haven't been to Mars yet, but scientists have sent spacecraft there to help them study this fascinating planet. The first spacecraft to land on Mars was Viking landers, which touched down on the surface in 1976. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos. Bye.